Martin Scorsese. The moment you hear that name, you might picture iconic gangsters, intense character studies, or wildly ambitious tales drenched in cinematic flair. From his early days, shaping the new Hollywood movement in the 1970s, to his status today as one of the most revered directors in film history, Scorsese has spent decades pushing boundaries and redefining what cinema can achieve. Have you ever watched a Scorsese movie and felt as though you were caught right in the fray, ducking from a hail of bullets, cringing at the raw emotional stakes, or marveling at the razor-sharp dialogue? That's the magic he brings, an immersive, fearless, and deeply human approach to storytelling. In today's countdown, we're looking at the top 10 best movies of Martin Scorsese, a director who has never been afraid to tackle the darker corners of the human psyche or shed light on powerful themes like redemption, guilt, loyalty, and the allure of sin. From gritty gangster epics to psychological thrillers, he's proven time and again that character is king, style is crucial, and authenticity is everything. If you're ready to revisit some of the most electrifying films ever made, or perhaps discover a gem you haven't yet experienced, buckle up. Here are 10 must-watch classics that together define the extraordinary, ever-evolving career of Martin Scorsese. Kicking off our list is Goodfellas, the 1990 crime epic that many fans consider Scorsese's defining masterpiece. Adapted from Nicholas Pileggi's book Wise Guy, the film chronicles the meteoric rise and devastating fall of mob associate Henry Hill, played by Ray Liotta. Have you ever been mesmerized by a lifestyle so glamorous, yet so undeniably dangerous, that you almost feel complicit just for watching? From its opening lines, "As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster," Scorsese plunges us into a world fueled by money, power, and loyalty. The frenetic tracking shots, particularly the famous Copacabana sequence where Henry escorts his future wife, Karen, through a labyrinth of back doors into the heart of mafia privilege, showcase Scorsese's unparalleled knack for visual storytelling. Joe Pesci's portrayal of the volatile Tommy DeVito won him an Oscar, while Robert De Niro's Jimmy Conway exudes a calm menace that anchors the ensemble. Goodfellas also stands out for its pitch-perfect soundtrack, effortlessly weaving classic rock and doo-wop hits into scenes of shocking violence and casual humor. It's that collision, elegance meeting brutality, that makes the film resonate so deeply. By the time Henry's world unravels, you may feel as though you've experienced every high and low right alongside him. Audiences and critics alike praised the movie for its raw energy and authenticity. It has since become a cultural touchstone. If you're looking for the quintessential mob movie that balances style, substance, and adrenaline, Goodfellas is second to none. Released in 1976, Taxi Driver may be one of the most haunting explorations of urban alienation ever put on film. Set against the neon-lit decay of 1970s New York, Robert De Niro stars as Travis Bickle, a Vietnam War veteran-turned-cab driver whose insomnia and disillusionment send him spiraling into a vigilante mindset. Did you know that De Niro, fresh off the success of The Godfather Part II, actually worked 12-hour shifts driving a taxi to get into character? The film's claustrophobic tension builds as Travis scribbles menacing thoughts in his journal and encounters the grim side of city life: prostitutes, pimps, and muggers. When he becomes fixated on saving a young child prostitute named Iris, played by a then 12-year-old Jodie Foster, Travis's mental state deteriorates, culminating in a brutal shootout that's as shocking today as it was decades ago. Scorsese's direction leverages every trick in the book to convey Travis's isolation: lingering close-ups, eerie nighttime settings, and Bernard Herrmann's moody final score. Of course, Taxi Driver gave us the iconic line, "You talking to me?" improvised by De Niro in front of a mirror, encapsulating Travis's slide into madness. Praised for its psychological depth, the film also angered some critics for its graphic violence, but it remains a cornerstone of modern cinema. By the end, you're left pondering whether Travis is a cautionary tale of unchecked rage or a warped reflection of societal neglect. Either way, Taxi Driver stands as a brutal, riveting masterpiece that forever changed the American film landscape. Up next is Raging Bull, 1980, a gripping biographical drama about the life of middleweight boxer Jake LaMotta. Portrayed by Robert De Niro in a transformative, Oscar-winning performance, LaMotta is depicted as a man whose ferocity in the ring is matched only by the turmoil in his personal life. Have you ever encountered someone whose drive for success was so fierce that it devoured everything else? Family, friendships, even their own self-worth? Shot in black and white, Raging Bull revels in its stark contrasts. The brutal violence of the boxing matches versus the uneasy stillness of Jake's domestic scenes. From slow-motion shots of sweat spraying off punching bags to the thunderous roars of the crowd, Scorsese plunges us into the raw, punishing world of professional fighting. The film doesn't flinch from LaMotta's ugliest traits. His jealousy, paranoia, and self-destructive impulses create a cycle of triumph and despair. But it's the level of artistry that truly sets Raging Bull apart. The cinematography by Michael Chapman, combined with Thelma Schoonmaker's kinetic editing, ensures every punch feels monumental, every emotional outburst shattering. De Niro famously gained about 60 pounds to portray LaMotta later in life, demonstrating a level of commitment that cemented the film's legendary status. Although Raging Bull wasn't a box office smash initially, critics quickly hailed it as a cinematic triumph and one of the greatest sports dramas ever made. If you want an unfiltered look at the cost of ambition and rage, Raging Bull hits like a freight train. If you're craving a twisty crime saga with an A-list cast, The Departed, 2006, is your ticket to adrenaline-fueled thrills. Based on the Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs, Scorsese's Boston set tale follows two moles, Billy Costigan, Leonardo DiCaprio, an undercover cop infiltrating the Irish mob, and Colin Sullivan, Matt Damon, a mob spy rising through the ranks of the police. Have you ever felt your heartbeat quicken as you realize the walls are closing in and everyone around you might be a traitor? Scorsese juggles a labyrinthine plot with ease, establishing a cat-and-mouse dynamic that keeps you guessing who's going to slip up first. Jack Nicholson delivers a gleefully unhinged performance as Frank Costello, the crime boss orchestrating much of the mayhem. Meanwhile, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, and Alec Baldwin round out a cast so stacked with talent, it feels like every scene hits another crescendo of tension or dark humor. Winning Scorsese his long-awaited Best Director Oscar, The Departed blends gritty violence with razor-sharp banter and existential dread. Both Costigan and Sullivan grapple with identity crises, torn between loyalty to institutions that may not deserve it and their own instincts for survival. The film's final act delivers a barrage of shocking twists, leaving viewers breathless. It's a testament to Scorsese's flair for moral ambiguity that, even when the screen fades, you're left pondering who truly won. If you want a Scorsese film that combines gangster grit with modern tension, The Departed is a high-octane ride you won't soon forget. The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, marks Scorsese's audacious dive into the financial world, adapting the memoir of Jordan Belfort, Leonardo DiCaprio, a stockbroker whose fraudulent firm grew into a den of debauchery and crime. Have you ever watched a film so outrageous you periodically ask yourself, wait, did that really happen? That's the energy fueling The Wolf of Wall Street, where cocaine-fueled office parties and yachts rocking with scandalous behavior are par for the course. DiCaprio's portrayal of Belfort earned him a Golden Globe and widespread acclaim. He's charismatic, deplorable, hilarious, and terrifying, often all in one scene. Meanwhile, Jonah Hill provides an uproarious yet unsettling performance as Belfort's right-hand man, Donny Azoff. Behind the lunacy, however, you catch glimpses of the immense greed and moral rot devouring everyone involved. The film's dark comedy thrives on hyperbole, but it also reflects the very real appetite for excess that took Wall Street by storm in the late 80s and 90s. Though some critics accused Scorsese of glorifying Belfort's exploits, the film serves as a cautionary tale about unchecked ambition and the hollowness of material success. Frenetic editing, pulsating music, and fourth-wall-breaking monologues create an immersive experience that's as entertaining as it is alarming. At 3 hours long, The Wolf of Wall Street never lets up, culminating in an ending that prompts you to question whether society ever truly rejects its corrupt idols. If you can handle the relentless onslaught of excess and profanity, you'll find a scathing satire that proves Scorsese's range extends beyond bullets and blood. If you can't get enough of Scorsese's gangster epics, Casino, 1995, is essentially the spiritual cousin to Goodfellas, reuniting Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in a story about the seedy underbelly of Las Vegas in the 1970s and 80s. De Niro plays Sam Ace Rothstein, a brilliant gambler tasked with managing a casino on behalf of the mob. But as Sam tries to legitimize the operation, his hot-headed enforcer friend, Nicky Santoro, Pesci, and his troubled wife, Ginger, Sharon Stone, threaten to bring the entire empire crashing down. Have you ever stared at glitzy lights and felt the undercurrent of danger pulsing below the surface? That's Casino in a nutshell. From the lavish decor to the constant flow of money, everything is superficially dazzling until the violence and paranoia inevitably seep through. Sharon Stone's performance earned her an Oscar nomination as she channels Ginger's volatility and vulnerability with unforgettable intensity. Meanwhile, Pesci is once again the wild card, delivering staccato outbursts of brutal force whenever he feels slighted. Scorsese, a master of capturing the mechanics of illegal enterprise, walks you through the how of running a mob-owned casino with mesmerizing detail, pit bosses, hidden cameras, and the suitcases of cash that keep it all afloat. The film's sprawling narrative covers a decade of shifting loyalties and simmering feuds, culminating in a vicious spiral that spares no one. It might run nearly 3 hours, but with Scorsese's quick pacing and Thelma Schoonmaker's skillful editing, the film remains a riveting study of greed and self-destruction. If Goodfellas left you wanting more of that dynamic duo of De Niro and Pesci, Casino is the natural next step. Mean Streets, 1973, is where it all truly began for Martin Scorsese's cinematic vision of crime, loyalty, and Catholic guilt. It's a scrappy, low-budget piece that introduced a raw, kinetic style he would refine in later classics. Set in New York's Little Italy, it stars Harvey Keitel as Charlie, a small-time hood torn between his religious convictions and his ambitions in the mob, and Robert De Niro as Johnny Boy, a reckless troublemaker whose debts keep piling up. Have you ever struggled to reconcile your faith with the harsh realities of your environment? That moral tension underscores every scene. Charlie wants to do right by his uncle, a local loan shark, and also by Johnny Boy, who clearly needs help but refuses to grow up. Scorsese shot much of the film on location in Manhattan's rough neighborhoods, capturing an authenticity that leaps off the screen. The gritty cinematography, combined with a rock-and-roll soundtrack, announces a new kind of urban drama. Mean Streets didn't become a huge commercial success upon release, but critics recognized its significance as a statement of style and purpose from a bold young filmmaker. It's also the film that cemented the De Niro-Scorsese partnership, which would blossom into one of the most significant director-actor collaborations in cinematic history. The unpolished energy, handheld camera movements, improvised banter, feels like stepping into the chaos of real city life. If you want to see the embryonic form of Scorsese's thematic obsessions, Mean Streets is essential viewing. Jumping ahead to 2019, The Irishman is Scorsese's sweeping 3.5-hour return to the gangster genre. Powered by the powerhouse trio of Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci, it's an introspective epic that charts the life of Frank Sheeran, De Niro, a mob hitman who claims he was involved in the disappearance of union leader Jimmy Hoffa, Pacino. Ever wanted to see what happens to gangsters when they reach the twilight of their lives, grappling with regret and isolation? By employing de-aging technology, Scorsese unfolds Frank's story across multiple decades, blending comedic gangster camaraderie with haunting reflections on mortality. Pesci, returning from a near retirement, delivers a quietly chilling performance as Russell Bufalino, the calculating mob boss who takes Frank under his wing. Contrary to the frenetic pace of earlier gangster flicks, The Irishman adopts a more deliberate, meditative tone. Scenes linger on small gestures, loaded pauses, and the weight of decisions that can never be undone. While some critics debated the necessity of its length, The Irishman remains a testament to Scorsese's continued ambition. It's a film about the slow, inevitable consequences of violence and betrayal. The final act might be one of the most poignant in Scorsese's entire oeuvre, leaving you with the image of an old, lonely man replaying mistakes that can't be fixed. If you're prepared for a reflective journey punctuated by bursts of gangster bravado, The Irishman proves Scorsese can still knock it out of the park, even in his late 70s. If you thought Scorsese only excelled at gangster sagas, Shutter Island, 2010, shows his deft touch with psychological horror. Leonardo DiCaprio plays Teddy Daniels, a U.S. Marshal investigating the disappearance of a patient at the Ashcliffe Hospital for the criminally insane. From the moment Teddy and his partner Chuck, Mark Ruffalo, step off a ferry onto the storm-battered island, a sense of dread and paranoia sets in. Ever walked into a situation where you're sure something's off, yet can't put your finger on it? Scorsese masterfully uses the gothic atmosphere of the asylum, its dark corridors, looming towers, and unpredictable inmates, to ratchet up the tension. As Teddy interviews the staff, including Ben Kingsley's enigmatic Dr. Cawley, and uncovers cryptic clues, he realizes the hospital might hold secrets far more disturbing than he imagined. Flashbacks to Teddy's traumatic wartime experiences and the death of his wife blend seamlessly with the present-day investigation, making you question what's real and what's a hallucination. Shutter Island is notable for its twisting narrative, culminating in a finale that invites lengthy debate among viewers. DiCaprio's performance balances stoic determination with a growing sense of psychological unraveling, while the production design immerses you in 1950s noir gloom. Although some critics felt the ending was predictable, the film's labyrinthine journey remains compelling. It's a chilling reminder that Scorsese can handle suspense just as adeptly as he does violence or drama. If you crave a film that keeps you second-guessing right up to its final haunting line, Shutter Island should be on your list. Rounding out our list is The King of Comedy, a 1982 black comedy that stands as one of Scorsese's most underrated gems. Robert De Niro stars as Rupert Pupkin, an aspiring stand-up comic who's utterly convinced he's destined for fame, even if he has zero experience and questionable talent. Have you ever wanted something so badly that you ignored every obstacle, every red flag, believing destiny owed you? That describes Rupert's delusion. In his mind, comedic stardom is just a handshake away, and he fixates on talk show host Jerry Langford, Jerry Lewis, as his golden ticket. Rupert's awkward determination veers into unsettling obsession, culminating in a plan so extreme it's both cringeworthy and darkly hilarious. Drawing on the same sense of urban decay and lost souls explored in Taxi Driver, Scorsese here replaces explicit violence with slow-burn desperation. While it bombed at the box office initially, the king of comedy has since gained critical adoration for its eerie foresight into fame-obsessed culture. Watching Rupert Pupkin drift between daydreams of applause and humiliating real-world rejections is unsettlingly relevant in an era of viral celebrities. De Niro's performance is hauntingly earnest, and Jerry Lewis's portrayal of a jaded showbiz veteran is both cutting and sympathetic. If you want to see Scorsese tackle the corrosive pursuit of celebrity over moral or artistic substance, the king of comedy is a biting satire that only grows more resonant with time. Martin Scorsese's imprint on cinema is immeasurable. From raw, street-level dramas that redefined the gangster genre to psychological thrillers that peel back the layers of the human mind, he's shown a relentless commitment to truth and intensity. Across these 10 films, we see him push actors to staggering heights, experiment with narrative forms, and provoke our deepest emotions, be it awe, revulsion, or empathy. So, which Scorsese film tops your personal ranking, and why? Let's keep the conversation rolling in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and any other favorites you might suggest. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay on the lookout, because with directors like Martin Scorsese, there's always another masterpiece waiting just around the corner.